Despite my best efforts, I had no choice but to conclude that God is probably real. My name's Nate Ringelstein, also go by Nathan or Nathaniel. I'm a senior studying business, and I'm from Chicago. Growing up, my faith life was pretty barren. My family went to church on Sunday. I was raised Lutheran, but we never really took it seriously. I would always complain. Me and my siblings always complained, do everything we can to get out of church on Sunday. We'd get some formation at Sunday school, but it wasn't anything substantive. It was pretty dry. Then when I was 10, I was sitting by a lake with my sister, and we had both decided that we no longer believed in God, and we just kind of pushed it to the side and never really thought about it again, except for on Sundays when we would do our best to get out of church. The first time something really changed with my interior faith life was when I was kind of towards the end of my high school career, I suppose. And I had come across this guy, this professor, Dr. Jordan Peterson, who did like a psychological analysis of Genesis. And I was interested in looking at this because I kind of, when I was older, decided that, hey, maybe there is something to this book that's been here for thousands and thousands of years. I don't want to be so quick to throw it out just because I don't necessarily believe everything in it. So I looked at this lecture series, and it was so dense with truth that I could not believe that there could be such a truth-rich book, that I was blown away, and I had no choice, despite my best efforts, I had no choice but to conclude that God is probably real, created the universe, and is speaking to us through this book. And that was my first kind of inclination back towards faith after 9 or 10 years. Not long after I had watched that biblical series, I decided to start going back to church, not necessarily because I believed in Jesus. I believed in God in a sort of metaphysical way. I wasn't sure about Jesus, but I decided that out of respect for tradition, I should go back to church. And I was going to go back to my Lutheran church that I was raised in when my girlfriend Anna suggested I try out a Catholic church, and I was open to new experiences. So I said, sure, I'll give it a shot. I know that the Catholic Church is very traditional, so I decided to give it a shot. But I remember during the consecration, when the priest held up the Eucharist, I was aware somewhat of the Catholic teaching of the real presence, very vaguely though. But when I looked at the Eucharist, I just kind of knew that was Jesus. It felt like something I had always known, and so I wasn't blown away by the fact. It felt like something I had always known, like an old familiar friend that I knew that Jesus was there in that Eucharist. And so because of that first church, first time at Mass, I decided to keep going because I really liked it and I wanted to keep going with it. And eventually I really, really wanted to receive the Eucharist. So I talked to the priest, to the pastor of that parish, and I said, hey, I'm not actually Catholic, but I want to be. Is it too late? And he said, no, not at all. I started RCIA a few months later, and then I was confirmed at the Easter Vigil in 2022. Before coming to St. T's and before coming to Valpo, my faith life looked radically different from what it looks like now. Back then, being a Catholic just kind of, to me, meant being pro-life and kind of anti-evil, but it had nothing to really do with being a son of the Father. But when I came to St. T's, I had met a thriving community of people who were very rich in faith in a way that I had never seen in my life in any facet. So I So I started to learn about apologetics when I came here, and I was eventually challenged to start to go to daily mass and adoration. And the moment I did, my faith life was completely flipped on its head. I couldn't even describe it if I wanted to, and I do try when I'm talking with my friends about this stuff, because I've got obviously Catholic friends here at St. T's, but I've got Catholic friends back home and friends who I'm trying to bring to the faith. And when I talk to them, I try to describe the impact that adoration and daily mass and just being in the presence of the Eucharist and receiving the Eucharist has had on my soul and on my life as a whole. And I'm completely unable to do it. The grace and the changes in my own heart have been unspeakable. Something I would say to someone who's wrestling with their faith is look at 1 Peter when he says, always have a reason for the faith, always be prepared to offer a defense. A lot of people, I find, don't understand why they're a Catholic. And that was a big thing for me. The moment I understood why I was a Catholic and I started to see the grace in the sacraments, my life completely changed and has never been the same since. And I don't know if I could even if I fell away, I don't think I could fall away because of just the tremendous grace. So I would say, have a reason for the faith and put yourself before the Eucharist. Give everything you have to God. Jesus takes what we have, takes what we give to him and multiplies it. We can see that with the loaves and the fishes, and we can see that with when he turned the water into the wine. He takes what little we have, which was God's in the first place. He takes what little we have and he multiplies it to what we never could have imagined is even possible. So have a reason for the faith and give everything you have to Jesus. It'll change your life forever.